Joining us now is broadcaster and commentator Jeff Cruer. Jeff, thank you so much for your time. It seems like the world is really waiting for President Trump's next move, and there are reports out of the Wall Street Journal that he has approved attack plans for Iran, but is holding off at the moment to see if Tehran would abandon its nuclear program. Really, how likely is that, and what's your sense of what's going to happen here?
Well, I mean, President Trump is a peacemaker. He wants to use military force as a last resort. I mean, he tried to have diplomatic negotiations with the Iranians for months, and they just would not give up their plans for a nuclear weapon. And they were getting so close. Israel struck. He still wanted to have a diplomatic solution here. He's still holding out hope for a diplomatic solution. But he's ready, if necessary, to take military action. And I do think, obviously, the United States is needed because they're not going to be able to take out their nuclear site that has nuclear facilities deep underground. Israel doesn't have the right plane, the right bombs. The United States does. So I think that is an option that he has approved if necessary. So I think he's reluctant to do it, obviously, but he feels like he has to because from the day he came down the escalator 10 years ago, he's been saying that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
Absolutely. He has been consistent for years, but it seems there is still this divide among those in the United States. You've got commentators such as Tucker Carlson expressing that they don't want America involved at all, but Trump has been consistent. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and his efforts in ending the regime's nuclear ambition is putting America first.
Exactly right. I mean, as he said, making sure that they don't have a nuclear weapon is America first. I mean, and really, he's America first. He's the one that sort of created this whole movement, which really hadn't been in effect for decades. He created the MAGA movement. So I understand that their critics, we're a war-weary nation. I mean, we were in Afghanistan for 2 decades, and the results were terrible. And we were sold a bill of goods, a bunch of lies about past military engagements. So the difference is President Trump is telling the truth. President Trump is using this as a last resort. His motto is the same one that Ronald Reagan had years ago, peace through strength. So we're hoping it doesn't turn to military action, but it might.
We're watching it very closely, but let's talk about what's been unfolding in Los Angeles. Last week, we saw the streets of downtown LA turn into chaos as violent rioters took over anti-ICE protests, really. They were burning the American flag, they were looting stores, they were setting police cars on fire. And now the FBI is tracing the money to find out who is funding the riots. Listen to this.
Unfortunately, we've seen individuals whose intentions are to cause damage and to assault law enforcement. For example, last week we arrested an individual who was charged with conspiracy to commit and aiding and abetting civil disorders. These violent agitators put peaceful demonstrators at risk.
The FBI and our fellow partners will continue to investigate individuals and organizations who are knowingly funding or committing acts of violence against law enforcement, as well as the destruction of property.
We are currently tracing money to determine who is providing funding for these riots. Funding crime doesn't just affect the criminals, it also disrupts entire communities. Each dollar funneled into illegal operations fuels violence, undermines law and order, and perpetuates fear.
Well, it's a pretty strong warning for those potentially funding the riots.
You know, this is what we needed during the George Floyd riots 5 years ago, and it didn't happen. And there were people funding that. There are people funding this. And obviously, these protesters aren't bringing their own bionic face shields and their own weapons. They're getting it from a source, many sources probably. And that does need to be investigated. These folks are attacking police. They're attacking National Guard. They're destroying property. And they're trying to prevent ICE agents from doing their job. Remember, President Trump was elected on this platform. The American people said, yes, we want people that are here illegally to be deported. He's trying to implement that policy. And these folks are saying, no, we're not going to allow you to follow the law, follow what the American people wanted. We're stopping it. And we're funded by folks that are going to try to help us take on the police. And that's got to stop. So hopefully the FBI is going to get to the bottom of who's behind this. And I would assume that you might have a connection to a guy named George Soros, but we'll have to see.